Planning Commission meeting on May 16th, 2017, Pownal, Vermont, to order. We'll take a look at, I'll just quickly review for the public tonight's agenda. We're going to seek approval of the May 16th, 2007 agenda, obviously. Number 2, approval of the special regular meeting minutes of April 18th, 2017. Number 3, approval of the special work session minutes of May 2nd, 2017. Number 4, we'll review the mail. Number 5, under other business, do we have a ZA log?
I do, but we have to discuss it.
We'll discuss the ZA log. We're going to review, which we do periodically, our rules of procedure. And then on the town plan work, we're going to quickly review the energy section. If we have any guests, we'll take comments from the guests, which I don't believe we do since they're not listed. And then any public comment if anybody else shows up. So first order of business, that being the agenda, I look for a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion, additions to the agenda for the night? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Good evening.
Hey, Rick. You didn't miss much, Rick, just the agenda approval.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at the special regular minutes from April 18th. I think we've all had these. We had them prior to the meeting at the library. And I know I've had a chance to read them. I didn't see anything that I wanted to add or subtract, but if not, if everybody has not seen them yet, let's take a quick look at those, and then I'd look for an agenda to approve the April 18th special minutes. Special meeting minutes.
Sid had sent me the corrections, and because apparently I capitalized too much. So he corrected them.
Kept starting new sentences when you didn't have to. Is that how it works?
No, I just, when I get capitals, when I get, like, man. So, when he sent it to me. Okay. But I made all the corrections that he,
Okay, so those are just
Pretty much.
grammatical corrections. They're not
Yeah.
content. So you can go ahead and make those for my signature if you want.
I already did.
Excellent.
So you have the new version already and
Oh, good.
right there in front of you.
Okay. I thought it looked pretty good. Do I have a motion to approve these April 18th minutes?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or any abstaining? All right, let's take a second to look at the May 2nd minutes of our regular meeting. It says special regular meeting. Or was that a work meeting? May 2nd. What's that, Bonnie?
Morning,
Work session
Nick, we're here.
meeting, it says.
Special.
Solomon Wright Library, Pownal, Vermont, minutes from the special regular
It has to be special
meeting.
because we changed the time and place.
Time and the
Hey,
place.
Bonnie, how are you?
Okay.
Okay, I'm not losing it. Mine says, yours says work meeting.
Underneath, the next,
Oh, underneath
Sign
special
down.
work session minute. Okay, that'll fly. All right. You gotta
Shannon, could you
read
hand me Sid?
the
Yes.
whole,
No.
read the whole thing.
Thanks.
How you doing, Sid?
Oh, I'm here. Thanks for asking.
I'm always checking on you.
I hear you.
All right, these I haven't had a chance to look at yet, so let's take a second or
Can we
two.
put this down? I'll look at it later.
Oh, you got all that in there, Julie. You're on your game. Except the track, we wanted that to be commercial, right?
I don't know, I couldn't remember. And
Yeah, that was the last
I
thing.
was blocking that out because
It was time to
that's
go.
something, well, no, that too, but. So that would be what, Pownal South. Right.
It's Village now.
Yeah, but no, it's Pownal though, it's South Pownal.
Oh,
or
South Pownal.
Pownal,
Right. Right.
right, so let me add.
However, that doesn't belong in the minutes because it wasn't discussed until the meeting was breaking up, so we couldn't talk about it. We can actually talk about it tonight.
You ready for a motion on the
I'm ready for a motion.
minutes of Tuesday, April 18?
No,
We've already done that.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
we're looking for Tuesday, May
Yeah.
That
2nd.
happens when you come late.
That's all right. Do I have a motion on the, or we need a few more minutes for May 2nd?
Julie got them out to us in time, but I didn't get to read them.
They just came in for me. I don't know where I was today, but I couldn't get those on my phone.
I move we accept the minutes of May 2nd as presented.
Second. Have a second. Any further discussion on those minutes on Tuesday, May 2nd? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And we have one abstention. Two
No,
abstentions.
should have three.
We should have three. Who else wasn't there?
Miss Rowe,
Abstention.
Yeah, that.
The backbench.
the back bench.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
they
New
go.
Mexico
Missed out.
Traveler.
Back bench.
Okay. Takes care of that. Have a look at the mail.
Even the buttons are the same.
Classy guy.
You get something.
They were in the same.
It's a Tubbs Road.
We check with each other before we come to meetings.
Chicago,
Both very dressed up. It's,
the singing group.
Wait.
However, I went and bought a linen blazer the other day, so you're gonna have to.
Oh, I'm gonna have to step up my game.
Okay, we got an
Get the
email
hats.
from.
That's the two guys in Chicago.
Jim
The
Sullivan
Blues Brothers.
for the future
Yes.
of Vermont's drinking water.
Okay, hang on.
I actually signed up to go to that, so
Which one are you doing? The
I'm
June
doing the one in
6th?
Manchester.
Oh, the 7th.
Excellent. So you wanna just tell us quickly, one of the two of you, what you're going to see and what this is?
It's a discussion about starting with essentially this relatively sad state of affairs of Vermont law and provision for public drinking water supplies and suggestions about how to deal with it. And I thought it'd be worth going to, since I talked with Mike Batcher at some length about public drinking water in Pownal, because I couldn't believe that there wasn't a way to protect it
Right, that's
by
right.
law as opposed to voluntarily. So that's why I'm going.
Couldn't believe Ronnie's statement that we still have citizens that don't have running clean water. That's pretty amazing in this day and age. Good, much appreciated on behalf of the board. Okay,
And then I have from the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, wastewater system and potable water supply permit for Ronald and Jessica Baldwin.
Really?
Really?
Where are they building?
On Brookman.
They're back.
Yes.
Wow. Old friends.
Wow.
They built
They
the.
finally sold that wreck down the road.
Williamstown?
Yeah.
Wait, we're on
Wow,
camera
they
here.
did, okay. Yeah. Don't know
See,
what
and for the
Had
record,
it on the market
They
for a
built
while.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine's house.
I know they did.
Yeah.
That was his first house.
this is why I capitalized. Just
Okay, all
for-
right.
And
You
then
guys
I
can
got
take
a
that up later.
reminder for VLCT Spring Planning and Zoning Forum Wednesday, June 14th at Lake Maury. And then I got something, an email from Linda to do with Bike Ped grant program. And the application must be received by 1 on Friday the 14th.
Julie, I'm sorry, what kind of program? Like,
That was
Bike Ped grant program.
what is it? Does anybody know? Is there anything the planning commission needs to involve themselves with?
Well, it says for a copy of the V-Trans 2017 Bicycle and Pedestrian Program Guide and application.
Sounds
And
right.
you guys keep talking about,
You guys.
Bike paths.
She was one of us.
Bike track.
Here, let's pass it on to Rick. You don't mind if I just take the liberty of passing that directly to the
it was a good pass.
bike enthusiast?
Sweetie, man.
then I have another one from the State of Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation,
You need to see
wastewater
Baldwin's
system and potable
application.
water supply for Roger Contois on the White Oaks Road. He's doing another subdivision,
I
so.
was gonna say, didn't we just have a row about that a year ago?
Yes. Whew,
They're
yes.
still building up there though, aren't they, huh? The
Yeah,
White
it's gonna
Oaks Road?
subdivide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somebody
It's
else.
gonna, so his daughter can build a house up there. And then I have the link to May 2017 VLCT news, and I emailed you guys
Yes.
all of this.
Thank you.
That's what I have for me.
Okay. Let's get to other business. Zoning administrator monthly log and discussion thereof.
I have a question. Because Nelson just gave us a rundown
Still has
a mile and a half at our last meeting. And he can't make the third meetings anymore, so, because of a conflict. So,
That's not gonna go on forever, he said,
right.
because he's part of
So,
the
I don't-
negotiations.
I didn't know if we were gonna read his report and do it that way, because he said he only does his every 2 months now, his report, and so I didn't know if we were changing.
Well,
his
didn't we
or
say that we
we-
were prepared to have him come to a meeting that he could make?
Yes. That's why I'm asking.
And that would
the-
be the
Well, that's why,
Tuesday.
first.
I invited him to the work session at the library. And in fact, I think he actually had a meeting that night that he canceled to come and see us. He was very agreeable. I mean, he said, "You're right, you know, I gotta get to the meetings somehow, some way." I guess it was the teacher negotiations that were the
That's what
the
he's
big
doing
hang
today.
up as far as him having to be there on those Tuesdays. So your question is, are we gonna change meetings, like our regular meeting to accommodate him? I would say no to
No,
that.
but we
No,
thought we'd
not-
invite him to the first.
Invite him to any other meeting that we have, yes.
Right. So
And-
take off the ZA
and-
log on our regular meeting and put it on the work session.
Sure,
But I
But-
couldn't remember what our outcome was.
but, and that's fine for a temporary solution. I don't see the work sessions going on too much longer, okay? I mean, we're near the end of this. I mean, we could get into the changing of the zoning the bylaws after that, and that could
And-
require a work session.
Then we have to do our village destination and all that, so we
Designation,
can
yes.
get grants, so.
Well, we have to have a town plan approved before we can apply for a village designation, so that's 2 months away. By the time we get through the public process, public hearings up to the select board, public hearings there and back. We're probably July before we have anything stamped and ready to go to print somewhere. At that time, we'll move as quickly as we can on the village designations. You agree? You look like you had something else on your mind other than that.
Oh, I'm shut. No, I'm having good. I'm being good.
Not only is she not saying anything, she's putting her mouth over, her hand over her mouth.
To guarantee
No lip reading.
to guarantee that they're not going to say anything?
No rip
Lip reading. No, because they didn't have
We don't have a baseball.
they didn't have audio last week at those selectmen.
So I guess here's what I would do. Anytime we do have a work session, I would include him on the agenda, or at least the ZA log on the agenda, and get him notification that we would like him very much to appear, as we told him in that special meeting a couple of weeks ago, and which I told him on the phone as a follow-up to some of our other minutes where I was supposed to call him. I had a good conversation with him. Am I making a fashion faux pas
Yeah,
there?
you got your thing tucked in.
Yeah, I see that.
And I did send them the agenda and our minutes also.
Good, excellent.
Mhm.
And he has also requested a copy of the draft of the town plan, which I think you just forward Michael Batcher's last email on that to him. And if he wants to print it, he can come up here and print it, or print it at work.
Ta-da.
Hey,
Web thing.
there's the first one that I've seen off, hot off the press. So, Julie's made one. I haven't made one yet. I've not made one yet. Why would the chairman ever make one of those? Okay, Jules.
All right, so do you want to just wait to,
What do you have?
Next one?
You have a couple, three things on there. You want to?
yes.
I'll just read them since it's on the agenda.
So for the month of March and April, number of
One of those
applications
sessions
received,
is on right now.
14.
You're right.
He
And the other one
accepted
is Thursday.
14.
I'm not sure.
Number returned,
I'll reach
0.
out to her.
Number of permits granted were 2 verifications, 10 permits, which were 3 houses. 2 something, 4 additions and 1 shed.
read his writing.
I can't
believe it.
That one.
Oh. 10 permits, 3 houses, 2 trailers,
Okay.
4 additions, 1 shed. Forwarded to DRB, 2, a sign, and a subdivision. We've already acted on those. DRB has 2 permits, sign and subdivision. We've acted on. Checking around town for junk, working on Jackson Crossroad to start. Doing permit verification as they come in.
Good.
Yes. 'cause-
Dealing with the customers on an instant basis.
Yes, we got 2 more actually we got 3 more to the DRB this week.
Cranking it out. The DRB. I love it. 'Tis the season, right? Okay. That take care of everything regarding the CA?
Yeah.
All right. Let's everybody take out your copy of the rules of procedure amended May 19th, 2015. I don't know if we've all had a chance to read these. I don't know if anybody's ever read these. I've read them.
We all signed it.
Well, yeah.
Rosemary signed it.
Rosemary signed it. That's right.
That's it. Says something. Oh, 15. That's 5/19/15.
Okay. The only thing that I want to change here, could somebody explain to me under Article 2 attendance policy, the following shall constitute grounds for an excused absence? B. I get the paternity leave part of it.
Maternal.
I think it's supposed to be
Say
maternity.
maternity?
Yeah.
Instead of
material.
I was trying to think of why materials would keep.
It's a material later on.
Have you ever seen what they had to use for that? Maybe the materials are required.
Oh, okay.
Let's go move on.
Okay, moving right along.
I mean, it's very, like, it's much akin to
Okay,
F, military.
can we do
Wow.
maternal,
I changed it.
change that one?
Did we want to mention anything on work sessions and our meetings?
Yeah, that's the other thing, because, as we list up here, regular monthly meetings are held the third Tuesday of every month at 7 PM at the town office. The meeting notices are posted. We should make a note that, and we don't have regular ones, so regular monthly meetings are held the third Tuesday of every month at 7 PM. And when necessary, work sessions, special meetings are held the first Tuesday of the month at a location to be determined. Since we have some here and we get down to those Ronnie's comfy chairs at the library.
Have we decided not to change the regular meetings to the first for Nelson's benefit?
Yeah, we're not changing the regular meetings.
Okay.
I mean, that's printed in the town report and everything. I don't want to change that.
Okay.
What we decided just a few minutes ago was when we have a work session, we include him in, we put him on the agenda. He can either make it or can't make it. But he's to submit a report for it.
Sure.
We don't want a report every 2 months. I made that clear to him. We want to hear from him even if there's no news. No news is good news, right?
Not that it's a big deal, but I've served on jury duty 3 or 4 times, and it always is during the day.
Right? These might be.
I've never
It's
been.
not at
These
night.
might be grand jury cases
Yeah.
or something in Washington DC. I don't think.
Good enough for me.
Why? There's no harm in leaving it though, right? No. Okay.
The B in Article 2 would really be maternity paternity leaves rather than maternal paternity leaves.
Maternity,
It would be
paternity.
the mother of the father of the person then, if it was maternal
Okay,
paternity
all right.
leave. Which is probably not the intention.
You know when Michael Batcher was looking for an editor for the
Oh,
town
yeah,
plan?
right.
There he is. There he is. Must come from a newspaper family or something.
Think not.
Is there anything we want to add to that section on constituting grounds for an excused absence? Those kind of cover them all, because it says below, we may also excuse absences in the cases where they make a finding that unusual hardship justifies excusing an absence. What does it also say? 24 hours?
Well, I think that's good that it leaves open something that we possibly have not thought of, which is possibly always good to do.
Okay. That's fine with me. Anybody else on that section? Anything you think we need changing there? Good? Okay, under Article 3, I want to, number 1, I'd like to strike members from number 1 and just say, oh no, members of the public and the commission. So I want to strike commission because I don't think, I kind of like a little bit of free flowing dialogue. I don't want Shannon to have to raise her hand, look at me, make her statement, and then I call on Ronnie to, okay? However, I do want that for members of the public and the 3-minute rule, and we will give those people, whoever comes.
And occasionally on a motion, 30-second rule.
Yeah, occasionally on a motion, a 30-second rule. If you want. And I don't see anything else in there. I mean, that's fine that they direct it to me so that if any member of the public is here for any kind of personal beef with a member, that they cannot take it out on that member. I'll take the heat for that. That's fine.
That's misspelled in number 4. It's personal attacks, not personnel attacks, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. You're right. Well, we don't want any personnel attacks either.
Well, comma, personal attacks.
No attacks, period.
Do you remember back in the day, that far back? Oh no, she was already gone.
Okay,
Yeah,
don't mention any
don't
names
go
now. Person wanted to call upon twice on the same topic at the discretion of the chair. So it's my discretion as to whether they could be called twice a time, but it looks like 2 strikes and you're out, right? I'm not calling anybody for a third round unless they're here as a guest on the agenda, right? If they're on our agenda, they have a pretty open forum. If they show up just as a member of the public and identify themselves, then we stick to these rules. Is that your understanding?
Mine, but you're the chair.
Well, wait a minute. You put this on here. Is that your understanding? That
Listen,
if somebody
folks,
calls and wants to be
you're
added to the
here.
agenda,
This is back when Rosemary was chair, so
yeah,
she had things put on there.
right. Were you here, Bonnie?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like it was just yesterday. Okay, well, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the rest of it. I'm fine with the leave of absence. I think that's critical. Speaking with agencies, and this was the main reason to rewrite our rules of procedure the first time. It's Article 5, and that's when a commission member wishes clarification from BLCT or any other issue, on any issue. So, in essence, what we don't want is a planning commission member calling the Secretary of State because they want to hear their interpretation of it without discussing it first with us and being granted permission to call the Secretary of State, the BLCT, or somebody. Because we actually had people calling on personal business almost, business related to their own property, and identifying themselves as planning commission members. It had really little to do with the planning commission. So that's why Article 5 was put in there.
In a more complicated circumstance, many towns say, if you want to talk with the state agency or the Attorney General or anybody about a bylaw or whatever, you pose your question to the chair, and the chair determines who makes the call. And it may not be the person who's interested, it may be the chair.
I like that.
I don't think we have to get to that degree of formality, but you could do that, I think, by fiat if you wish.
Should we just say that after consideration of further clarification, the chair shall contact the
Well,
BLCT
the
or
question
other
is whether
agency?
you want to be burdened with doing all of that.
That's fine.
You're my chair.
I'm absolutely fine with that. I think that, of course, we rule it out anyways, right? I mean, it's going to be discussed anyway. So, if Shannon wants to call the Secretary of State about something, and she brings it to the meeting, and she's better versed on it than I'm just going to say, go ahead, as long as that's the scope of your phone call, right? Yeah, so I think if
So
by
leave
leaving
it as
it,
it is.
yeah, thank you, though.
Does this also cover if a board member wants to write a letter to the editor and puts that he's a commission member without the sanction of the commission on it, whatever the topic might be? In other words, he's acting as an agent
Yeah,
from
good
here when
question.
he's really not. He's just a
Done.
member of the commission, but he wanted perhaps more substantial evidence or weight in the article, and he put himself down.
I think that's got to come before the commission.
I do too.
Yeah, exactly. I really do. I mean, I didn't put on the Front Porch Forum, I just joined the Front Porch Forum, but I didn't put it, I was planning commission. And certain people did, and I think it's okay, but I think if somebody's writing a letter,
It sounds like it's being sanctioned by the commission,
Right.
and it
It's
may
a little
well
bit
be
unfortunate.
unless if we had a meeting about it.
I noticed in the recent Front Porch Forum, after I did a letter, they said planning commissioner, and I didn't put that in my letter. They identified me that way, so
whoa.
I've written them
You're
and
famous for
said,
that.
please delete that,
Okay, good.
because I wasn't writing as a member of the planning commission.
Right.
I think we can all agree with that, right? That we speak for one when it comes to that.
Yeah.
If somebody asks, I guess, in an interview, do you represent any boards or commissions or anything in the town of Pownal? And of course, you can say, yeah, I'm a member of the planning commission.
But I don't
But-
come
Yeah,
here.
but my
But I
statements
don't
are my
come
own,
here.
Right.
unless it was sanctioned and everybody agreed.
So, except for striking commission members from that article that I had mentioned, Julia, I don't think there's much to change, is there?
No personal maternity.
Can I have a motion on the handful of changes that we just discussed in our rules of procedure so that we have an updated or amended May 16th, 2017 rules of procedure?
So moved.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so that way we can all sign it. And let's everybody who was here sign it. I wouldn't ask Henry to sign it if he couldn't make a meeting, right? He may have a whole different set of rules of procedure. Let's talk about it. I don't know. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the town plan. Everybody read their copy of the energy section? And in particular, Jim Sullivan's notes. I will make a comment that it is different, certainly different than the one you and I worked on.
The reason is that it's mostly Berkshire regional planning. I mean,
Bennington.
Bennington.
And their reaction to legislative changes that they feel is necessary to add a lot of the things we didn't have, different usage charts and things like that. As Michael Batcher pretty much explained to me, that not only has it all changed drastically since we approved this energy part that Sid and I kind of co-wrote more than a year ago and had approved by this commission and approved by Landworks, it's changed so drastically that he had to rewrite a great deal of the energy section, number one. Number two, regarding the siting for, I believe, large energy projects, and that probably would be all large energy projects. There is legislation either just passed or being debated right now that will necessitate, once we approve this town plan and this section, the energy section, we will have to amend it by next year. He obviously doesn't want us to wait till next year to have the final siting regulations, but says go ahead with your town plan, and then you're going to have a small amendment to insert in your town plan. So as if any of you have compared this to the original energy section that we had approved, you're going to find several differences. You're going to find, however, I think the basis of it the same as to what we agreed upon, Sid.
It is largely, but it's 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Not only because it includes tables, but it includes excerpts from the Bennington
County Regional Court.
Energy. Yeah.
Yeah, which he references several times in here. Which I don't don't have any problem with.
I don't know.
I think it's just it just adds a little bit more credibility to our own, since it doesn't take away any of the goals and objectives. But regarding like large projects, we're still unanimous on that. That, like biomass, for instance, we support personal biomass, but not large biomass projects.
For the
Now, I'll come
purpose
back-
of electricity generation.
Right. I'll come back to that in a second, because Jim Sullivan kind of threw us a little bit of a curveball. If you've all read his notes in here, and I want to talk about that. But regarding citing, I think he was even tougher than we were. If you could all just go to Jim Sullivan's email that Julie attached to it, and as you get down under Goal 4, Industrial Scale Biomass, and it's on the bottom of the second page, and then under Wind, because we know that there are some citizens in town here that agree with us and clearly do not want large wind projects. We don't want to look up in our forest land and see these huge turbines. We were all in agreement on that when we wrote that energy section.
I will tell you, if you go to the last page, 19,
Yeah.
you look at wind energy, they talk about personal wind generation facilities
Right.
Yeah.
of 125 feet or less.
Personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personal.
And
Isn't that pretty big?
And 125 foot high.
Yeah.
It's a 10-story building. Yeah. Personal.
Yeah.
Right. I think the main concern, I'm not hearing that there's a concern so much about you having a 120 foot tower on your land. I might not like it, but I can't see from my house anyway.
But I put it down on my property, right, very near
That's
you.
Near you, yeah.
I figured as much.
How tall is gardens?
But
Just
I
make
think
it
what they
plants.
want is,
That's what I was
we don't want, XYZ Energy Corp to come in here and put up 50 of them on the ridge.
I don't
I
theirs
think
is that tall.
what they're referring to is that this is going to be part of the new siting laws, and we might not be able, I'll look into this, we need to look into this, to prevent Shannon from having 125 foot. There's another section here too that they're pretty tough on it.
But I think putting his piece that he suggested in here is good, to say there really aren't appropriate large-scale winds. When you
Well-
look at the national forest that's there,
Correct.
the water,
Correct.
you know, the Taconic Crest Trail, etc. And you can write, I think it's worth putting a sentence in saying that.
Sure.
Well, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
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 But those situations would be for large scale, that would be to sell to a utility
Right.
with other people.
That's right.
And he's addressing domestic or small scale is just for your own house.
Right.
Not even to sell to your neighbor, but for you.
Right.
Right, exactly. And on the third from the last page, under actions at the bottom of Pownal Energy Goal number 4,
Oh.
number 3 says, on an interim basis, industrial scale energy development should be limited to locations. And this is right, almost our wording, right?
Page are you?
Wait, where?
Now,
Page
I'm
16.
sorry, I'm jumping
Okay.
around. I'm on the actual energy section now.
Okay.
Bottom of page 16.
Mine aren't numbered, sorry. So I'm from like the third to the last page under Pownal Energy Goal number 4.
Got it.
Page 16.
Okay. So number 3 under actions is on an interim basis, they should be limited to locations that have already been impacted, like former racetrack, town landfill, and gravel pits. I mean, that sums it up, right?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Industrial scale biomass is discouraged in all districts. Now I go back to Jim Henderson, Jim Sullivan, excuse me.
Goal number 4.
My apologies to both Jims up there. Goal number 4, industrial scale biomass. I know there's a legacy in Pownal from the Beaver Wood proposal, but generally large scale biomass energy use is, he doesn't say the preferred, is preferred primarily for thermal. Note, electricity generation, as stated later in the plan draft. Could mention potential use of a combined heat and power as one way to generate electricity while also serving thermal applications.
Can you define what is thermal?
I was just going to ask you to
Yeah,
define
heat.
it. Well,
I was gonna ask you.
heat.
thermal
It's
is
heat.
heat. It's
Yeah.
heat from.
So if it's biomass
it's heat
burning
from
wood
motion.
for heat.
Right. And he explains that later
Yeah.
in this document, saying the efficiency of 20% is, and no more is what the electric plants are doing. They're very inefficient, but 80% is your wood stove at home or a biomass thing for a hospital or a university. And he's advocating that because it's highly efficient.
Not to sell to the grid, but to
Correct.
provide a
And
thermal
that's also
heat
a
source
smaller
for.
scale.
It's
Yes.
a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
yeah. We
It's specific use for that
But you're not
institution
making
or for your
electricity.
home. It's all biomass, and that was the confusion with everything.
Yeah.
You know,
Can, right.
So that's just to clarify industrial biomass.
Right.
Where we're thinking we don't want beaver wood in Pownal, Vermont. What he's saying is don't make that comment and then exclude, your new town hall or your.
Right.
I shouldn't have said
It's
that.
probably
Or-
worth
Or the
writing.
school from setting up a biomass burning.
Right.
Right.
And it probably
For-
is worth clarifying because some people might just see the word biomass and immediately think of
Yes.
something really negative.
You don't
and
think they'd look into the details?
what a shocker that
I don't
that
know.
would happen.
Sometimes that might happen.
Somebody just asked about this.
No, I
So-
agree. Make it really spoon feed it because it's a dirty
Yeah.
word. So I
Right.
think you really need to
Same with wind.
explain it and compare it between the two.
So what do you want me to tell Michael here? How do you want to change this?
think just
Well, I
what
think it's
Jim said.
explained somewhere further, more explicitly than it
In
is
the
right
actual
there.
section?
I think it is. And where is that?
Page 16.
Well, I
It
was
is on
under,
page 16?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one with page numbers now. Isn't that amazing? Mine doesn't have them, and I have notes all over it.
No, he goes through percentages somewhere.
Down at the bottom.
That's solar kilowatts, but the percentages of efficiency of a biomass plant. He explains what's efficient and what's not efficient somewhere.
Isn't it on the bottom of 17, the renewable energy
No.
sources, and then goes over
Okay.
to 18? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
it.
Yes.
And on
You're
top
right.
of
That's what I
18 are
read.
the numbers. On top
Yeah.
of the 18 are the
Yep,
percentages.
there you go.
Yep.
That's
Alright,
it.
cool. I do pay attention.
I think that really explains it.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
That's
And I
fine.
think I like our wording better than biomass.
Yeah, are the ones that you and I talked about?
Yeah.
Because we talked about personal biomass use as being fine, but commercial or
Industrial scale.
industrial scale. Is that
I mean, you could get rid of the word biomass if you want. You could say wood
just said wood
generation
generation.
for heat.
Well, that's assuming that all biomass is wood driven. We have
Right.
to get
Because
it out of
biomass
date.
isn't always, because thermal
Could
from
be
the ground
garbage.
is biomass, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, like
it is.
geothermal.
The geothermal is
Geothermal
biomass.
is
I thought that had to do with
No,
burning,
that-
but it doesn't.
geothermal is
It's
from the
just
actual heat generated
like
from inside,
natural gas
from
that's
hundreds
in
and
the
hundreds of
earth.
feet
It's
down.
not
It's also biomass.
processed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not always the fuel. That's not always the fuel source. I mean, it can be garbage.
That's true.
Railroad ties.
Yeah.
It can be railroad ties. It can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
soaked with creosote. So
Yeah.
So, it's a tough.
I doubt strongly, like if a hospital put one up, that they're going to be burning garbage, right, to heat their hospital, or
Probably not.
if a industry moves here and they
Well,
want to sell.
I will tell you
It
that
gets rid of
Pittsfield-
one bill, though,
I know, the
doesn't
one in
it?
Coatesville.
Hillcrest
Drop
was
off
gonna
your
do a
garbage
medical-
here.
Right.
Number 5.
Waste sanitation.
Pick up
something.
your
I don't-
prescription.
Medical waste.
Incinerator.
Yeah, maybe we'd have somebody do incineration, undertaker down here,
I'll let you get rid of that.
Right.
Right?
embalming.
What's your pleasure?
It's the first one here. tells me.
My pleasure is to point out the difference in industrial versus for single-use industry, not for sale to the grid, however we word that.
Right. And the word thermal or for heat might be easier to understand than thermal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So substitute,
didn't
okay,
know
so
it.
substitute.
I'm surprised.
My copy here.
It actually could mean heating, cooling.
We're
Yeah.
not single use, but
It's not just that.
commercial.
But in this application, it is.
What, say that again?
I don't know, I put point out single use biomass for commercial sites.
Yeah, I think that sums it up, doesn't it?
Single-use biomass for commercial sites. Single-use meaning for
You know,
heating purposes.
Heating purposes, you
Should
don't,
we say exactly that then?
yeah, for heating purposes.
Yeah.
In essence, the thing to read in there is that they're not gonna sell to the grid, they're not gonna have these giant kilowatt things.
Burst commercial sites. Okay.
An undertaker wouldn't come in and burn bodies.
See? You really wanna go on the record?
No, I don't want to.
Okay,
Well,
are we done with this?
no,
that one?
no different than Sid.
I
what
have
he
a
just said.
question.
Yes.
On page 16, above the action we just did, under the Pownal Energy Goal number 3, action number 5,
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
somebody came in today from one of the mobile home parks.
Wait, can you back up for 1 second, please? Could you start that again? Because I was
Sixteen.
just writing down what it,
16.
Page
Five.
16.
in energy here?
Yep,
We got no
still
building inspector.
Out energy goal
Oh,
number
Goal
4.
three.
I know, I saw
Action
that.
number
Goal
5.
3,
Okay, wait.
action number 5.
Let me find one with page numbers, page 16. I'm always a little behind, I apologize. I like this in school too. but-
Right. It's just about the Pownal, the goal 4 that we were just.
Yeah, yeah.
think the
Builders'
Jen
new
said
homes
that
shall
too.
comply
Yes.
with Vermont energy standards.
Somebody came in
complete.
today
Certified building.
and told me that he needed one of those certificates before they would turn the power on to the mobile home.
It's happening already, and we haven't even approved this.
Well, the
I-
problem is, that
I
there is
just
with
looked
this.
It's a matter
at
of
him
time.
and I'm like, we don't have one. I mean, we technically don't,
what?
so, and
Certificate of occupation.
right.
Certificates of occupancy.
And he's saying that they needed an energy one, and I'm like, well, didn't you have your electrician look at it or hook it up before? Cause I've never even,
So you get that
A
card before
Vermont
the,
Residential Building Energy Standard Certificate.
Well, it's news to all of us, isn't it?
well, that's it. I mean, we don't
We
require,
actually put this in our draft.
we don't have
But he
any
gave it to
building
us.
codes, we do
Oh.
not have a building inspector, and we do not require the
Yes.
certificate of occupancy issuance. So how can you then turn around and have number 5, when you don't have all the things that come before it?
Great
I
point.
agree. I
Great
agree.
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're hoping to
And
have
I,
all
and I
this
wonder
stuff.
if we don't change shall comply to should, to the extent possible, comply.
Boy, is that so wishy-washy.
No,
I mean, I don't know,
Lawyers
like,
you don't have
Just
the
may. It may.
prerequisite criteria,
Well-
how are you ever gonna, and we don't have,
Well,
we have none of that.
Well,
Well, it all goes back to enforcement of so many things. So if there's not enforcement for that specific thing, how do we put it in there?
We don't have.
It doesn't have any
Well,
teeth.
what
We
is
don't
it,
have
and what is
building
that thing?
codes,
It's
we
not
don't have an
defined.
inspector to
What does it
enforce
mean?
them, and we
Inspection.
don't require.
Right.
COs.
One of the
Yeah.
things that we hope to have, Bonnie, is all of that.
all of that.
Yeah.
And
I
that's,
hope to, in there, we're not there yet. I mean,
We're not.
hoping to is one thing,
I
but we're
agree.
not there yet.
That's why it's
so-
an action that we have to follow up on to try and make this
Okay, well.
vision.
Okay, I
Happen.
understand that, but now the poor,
What do you do with this guy?
I would take that up with the DRP.
I have
Tell them to
to,
go to Bennington.
Guy doesn't expect.
you know,
Oh, I'll be nice.
We're not being wise guys here.
I know.
I don't know. I mean, if he needs that particular one, the Vermont Residential Building Energy Standard Certificate, then the state of Vermont must have a form that he has to sign out and have an electrician sign off on. There's not.
He'd have to call up
Yeah,
Vermont.
yeah.
But then accordingly, wouldn't the state of Vermont have to assign somebody to inspect to dutifully give that inspection, and the certificate
Well,
would
or-
have some merit?
Or have an electrician that's registered with them or
Be able to
recognized
do
by
that
them.
inspection.
Right. Yeah.
people-
Like Efficiency Vermont has several contractors that come
Okay.
in. Blue Heron Construction and several of those people will come in and do the evaluation, and they're registered with the state. And they'll give you a list in the area as to who you might want to come in and inspect your house for energy. So maybe they have the same thing regarding electricians.
And,
But I've never heard that. Have you guys ever heard that before? Where
I've
somebody
heard, I've heard a
today.
man couldn't get past, a friend of mine couldn't get his money from the bank at the end because.
So
he
the
couldn't-
bank said if you're not showing us that these things
They wanted a certificate
of occupancy,
You know,
It's
yeah,
not
they want
unusual.
a full inspection, right,
Yeah.
before they can move
I
in.
don't know what happened.
Before they'll sign off on a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Those banks.
Right.
It applies to buildings, residential buildings 4 stories or greater above grade.
Wow.
That certificate.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna help this guy here.
But
I bet this is a 1 story.
That's good. That takes us out of it.
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
yeah, there
Four
you go.
stories.
We don't need it.
We don't have many 4 stories. We'd have to buy a new fire truck if we had a 4-story. But to Bonnie's point here, how about the first 4? You know, I mean, so I think that, you know, if we agree that this is part of this section, this is going to lend itself to, upon approval of this plan, ultimate approval, that we've got to step up the action plan on that, right? It has to be done.
You
I
said
mean,
there must be a form?
yeah,
there it is.
great. That's only one
where
page.
did
That's
you
the
go?
first page,
I
too.
went to the Vermont Residential
But those
Energy Code.
those are mostly things that we talked about in even in Bonnie, I think in the housing section, didn't we? about having certificate of occupancies and things like that?
We just barely touched on it because they're not available, there's not anything that we do, if I remember right. I don't have it with me,
Right,
but
no, and I
we
don't have it either.
Yeah, no, you know.
But
Because we do not have codes, we do not have an inspector to enforce, and we don't require a CO. I
Right.
don't think we put it in
Right.
the housing section. That's something that we should do down the road, but we're not there
Well, that's
yet.
what this means, down the road.
Yeah,
This means,
it's all a wish
that's our
list, though,
vision.
I
isn't
get that,
It all
I get
is.
that,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is down the road, number 5,
Yeah.
you know, can't happen until you have these other things prior to.
In place.
Yeah, it's too
It's all over the
specific.
place. I mean, 9.3.
Or they start building 4-story buildings,
Exactly.
one or the other.
Or we put 4-story building in there.
Well, and there's
In
the
this
thing,
side.
I
there's
will
the
tell
other
you,
side of it.
I
Let's
misread
clarify.
that. I misread that.
Residential
That was for
standards.
4-story commercial buildings. The Vermont Residential Building Energy Standards affects all new homes built after July 1, 1998. New standards took effect in 2015 and apply to construction commenced on and after the effective date. It applies to all new residential construction, including additions, alterations, renovations, and repairs. The effective dates are as follows. They were all in 2015. We
So
ought to
the
look
banks
this,
know
we ought
that.
to look this up and get us smart about it, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
having them put in this thing reference to RISB, which is this residential building,
Saw that too.
which RBES, Jim Sullivan has it in his notes.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I want to understand more before we,
Before we put that in the
Incorporating.
plan.
On page 10, 9.3, manufactured housing must also meet same energy standards, traditionally constructed homes, energy efficient, blah, 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 blah. There's your
Thatcher
guy.
told us that.
Yeah, he told us that,
Yeah,
yeah.
good. But it's all over the map.
Yeah.
But all things that we've got to strive for. Even like section 9.4, where he remarks, where Jim Sullivan remarks about an energy coordinator as part of an energy committee, something we try to push over the years but never got any takers. I don't know if he's talking about Pownal
I think
and-
they've tried pushing it in other communities.
in other
too.
communities too. There are some good practices of it that I know of in other communities that I looked into when we were writing the original energy section. But that's something that, you know, I would certainly hope with the changes in energy policies in the state that we could have a group or one or two people very, very interested in being a liaison with the state to tell us what's going on and to
I will-
relay that information.
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, later in the morning. I will take it upon myself to call Thatcher tomorrow morning and ask him about this, because it concerns me that we
Okay.
incorporate all this stuff in our town plan,
Okay.
and when we don't really know what we're getting into.
If you're going to call him, would you also?
Oh, may I have permission, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I need a motion on that. Yes, you do. Would you, while you're calling him, would you also tell him about the
Sorry.
the biomass for single use only and not
Yep.
not for sale to the grid, et cetera?
Say no.
Sorry.
I know, it's a thing.
I have your permission, Chairman.
To go to the dentist or?
Let's go to the dentist.
Well, and one thing I noticed too on this is, I can't remember which objective it is, but all of this energy efficiency stuff, you know, as far as goals, really is being met by doing this new program with the Vermont Council on Rural Development.
Yeah.
Because the goal of that is really energy efficiency, doing workshops.
All about energy efficiency.
So, I mean, I think we're heading in that direction with that. And what may come out of that is a group that wants to form a volunteer energy committee or
Or a coordinator.
conservation
It
or
will,
whatever you want
but,
to call it. Yeah.
But and that
But
that
that's not
person,
really related to
No.
the development review, but it's
but that
related to
person could,
outreach.
so if that person's going to be kind of on
Yeah,
the
page
inside of
12.
all of that,
What are you talking
they could then become an energy coordinator for and report as an ex
Go
officio
to page
member
12.
to this commission.
Yeah.
And see
So-
if that's like that section.
We don't share enough
Talking
committees,
about,
you know.
Like with your
Remember somebody said, pick the
They'll get
encourage
one when we go to the
residents,
Legion
businesses.
for that meeting.
for that meeting and that step, right?
Town energy
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to take off.
Yeah, I think
because
we're
it's
at the end of the,
identify
well, what I want to do
information.
before you
That's
go
it. And
is, since you're going to
disseminate
talk,
and all that stuff.
since Sid's going to talk to Michael Boucher with our concerns and questions on the energy section
And biomass.
and biomass, if he's willing to change
I
that,
said it, yes.
do we need a motion here saying, if he makes those changes, we're good with that section? Or do we need this thing to come back and work out details?
I think
of
we
it?
not, I think we need to see what the changes make.
Okay,
I'm
all
not,
right,
I
all
wouldn't
right.
make a motion to approve it.
Okay, without seeing it.
Without seeing it.
All right, fair enough.
Can that be done through email though? Can we see the changes and we can't vote on anything that way, is that
No,
correct?
it constitutes a quorum in a meeting if we all, we can see the changes.
We can see the changes.
Oh,
but we
Michael's
can't
done the
vote.
changes.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
can see the changes, but we can't vote
Tell
until
him
we
to send
meet.
the changes in color to Julie and we'll take it up at our next meeting. And I just want to talk about the next meeting before we go. I mean, really, what Michael Batcher has asked us to do now is to print it off, just like Sid did, realizing that the energy section and the intro section aren't complete. If you read his email in there, he said you should have a kind of a profound goal statement in the intro section. So I need everybody to think about that. Reread the intro section. I thought it was okay the way that it was. We don't have to accept his recommendation. We can leave it. But if there's some big one that we want, we need to do that. He needs everybody to read it. He needs everybody to be prepared for public hearings and public meetings. You know, he will certainly be here for the majority of those things. But he wants consensus here too. He wants us all to have an understanding, a working understanding of the plan. So if we could have everybody read that.
He said he's not a good proofreader and
That's the other
asked
thing.
me if I would proofread it, and I said I would. So I'm gonna proofread it and mark it to show my changes in addition to the ones that he has.
But he also mentioned that he's not a good editor or
Yeah.
putting these things together. He doesn't have the editorial process to put these things together. Should we have another meeting before our regular meeting in June to go over all of these? We're this close now. I mean, we could be finishing up the intro,
I'm willing.
voting. What's that?
I'm willing.
Voting on this, but that's fine. Here's the problem that I have with that is that I'm
I
gone
want to go
for
fishing.
I'm gone for the last week of May and the first week of June. And I am going fishing for both of those weeks.
So our work session is June 6th. You won't be here.
What's that? That's a Tuesday. June 6th, Tuesday.
6th.
Yeah, Tuesday. I leave Monday the 5th and I come back Sunday the 11th. So you guys, you want to chair a meeting for me?
Sure.
Mike will be away. Tom will be away.
And while you're chairing that meeting, wrap this thing up, would you?
And what day is that going to be? June 6th?
Yeah.
The work session.
Wait a second. I have a ZBA. No, I can't. I have a ZBA public hearing in Dalton that night.
Oh, Dalton, come on, that's a Massachusetts.
that's work.
Oh, okay.
That's pay.
That's pay. I go.
Okay, let's look at another date. I'm in Barre, Vermont on Tuesday the 13th. That's work, believe it or not.
Well, and then we're getting to, then it's our regular meeting.
regular
Yeah, then it's our regular meeting. Yeah. So our regular meeting then would be Tuesday the 20th, is that? Yeah, that's right. So
But it seems like,
you guys meet earlier? Of course, that's Memorial Day weekend,
yeah.
Monday the 29th.
I mean, I'm happy to help look at that first paragraph or do some editing, but I don't know if we need to meet as a group, if
Yeah,
it's
we probably
mostly
don't.
just looking through the final touches.
We just need to come
We just
together
need to
and
know that
say
it's
that's
ready to go.
Yeah.
And it's more about a
So-
vision from what he explains, right?
Yep.
Like either 1.0 or section 2.0 to make them separate or not is our decision, but I think he's asking for more of a vision to give to the community.
I mean, you know, I was I was pretty clear in this. I think you all read this, and everybody
I
seemed to
liked
think it was okay. You know, where at the end, I said this plan should act as a guide for our select board, development review board, zoning administrator, Vermont's Act 250, and the Public Service Board, and any citizen concerned with the direction of this town in regards to use and development of land, public services and facilities, safe and affordable housing, protecting our environment and abundant natural resources at all cost, prudent economic development to attract and retain generations to come. And then I ended by saying there has never been a more critical time for a comprehensive plan in Pownal. I don't have his, you can go, I'm sorry.
I need to know the next meeting date.
Oh, yeah, you do. Well, how about that Wednesday then? I mean, can you guys, you're in Dalton on Tuesday, can you meet Wednesday the 7th or whatever that is?
No, that's DRB meeting.
Oh, can you combine the two meetings?
Well, I also think, you know,
Ah.
what he was
Maybe like-
telling you is sort of a suggestion.
Right.
I know,
if-
that's why I said we don't have to.
I mean, if we feel
We don't
that
have to
that
change
is a
that.
good, we've all agreed on that.
Yeah.
And we like
Okay.
that as an introduction. I mean,
Okay.
we're trying to keep
Yeah,
this,
I'll-
Right.
keep beating
More-
this stuff up.
Do it now.
Then I'll tell them that. I'll
Concise,
just tell them
right?
we were fine with the intro as written, so let's,
yeah, I mean, we've gone
Well,
through, I think it's good.
I mean, I can't think of anything else than those bullet points down there. I mean,
Was
I
he
can
confused
put them in,
about that?
I can put them in broad headlines at the top or something.
Did he think that it didn't offer enough direction for
I can
people
ask
to
him,
look at?
I can call him tomorrow and ask
I
him
mean,
that.
that's what vision means. That did we
Yeah,
not?
Sid's gonna
explain
talk,
that?
Sid's gonna talk about the other things. I'll call him about these, but I'm gonna basically say, you know, unless there's something we really missed here, Mike, let's get on with this thing. Let's wrap this part of it up. And Sid's gonna talk to you about the energy section.
Meeting on the 7th for the DRB.
We have a meeting and 2 public hearings that night.
Because
The 8th
then,
is a Thursday night and the select board's
Gotta
here.
check with the chairman before you book these, you know.
No, I don't have time.
because then the
frames.
next process is to put the public.
I only have so many days to get it all done, and
So
I
you
don't have.
Time for
Clock
countdowns.
stickers.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, I think we've done a lot of work on it, and you
Okay.
guys did a lot before I got here. I think it's good to go. It just needs to
Let-
be.
Why couldn't we do maybe
Edited a
what's
little bit.
Monday the 5th?
I think that we just said that it's fine
The
and let's
intro.
have our next
Yeah.
meeting.
I'm
on
not-
the
I'm not
20th
sure.
and
Yeah, I
be done with
agree.
it. I don't think we
I
need.
agree. So let's find out the
We
answers to
come
this
and
stuff, pass the
rehash,
emails back and forth,
rehash is great.
come together on the 23rd and
20th.
finalize the, whatever.
20th.
20th.
Finalize this
June
thing.
20th.
Right.
So
June
cancel
20th.
We
the,
agree? Good.
cancel the 6th
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
session.
And then, so the hope is that we can vote
And then the
on the 20th and then tell,
will-
warn the public.
Let's everybody read the entire thing again. And then,
Yeah.
Boy,
and make sure it's exactly what we want, because we're all about to sign off on it.
Yep.
You know,
Well, and he sent us the whole plan.
we've looked
Right.
at it in one way, shape, or form, and now we have the whole thing in one spot. Let's make sure we're familiar
I
with
looked
the
at
whole
it a lot when I put together that other. I feel
Yeah, I
like I
bet.
memorized it. Like I looked at it a
thing.
lot.
That's good.
I just kind of find it funny that he didn't want our plan longer than what we had it before. And it's already 90 pages.
Maps and
We don't
tables.
even have our maps yet
Oh, tables.
and all that stuff.
He wanted to hear about what we felt about the maps. Isn't that part of?
Yeah,
what
we're gonna
doing
talk
tonight?
about that too, because the maps are printed separately.
Right.
And basically the conclusion, the consensus that we came to at the library was there are 2 little strips of commercial land that set way off of the road behind residential, surrounded by residential sections that we deemed unnecessary to have commercial when we studied the definitions of both. You know, why?
And there's a village section in North Pownal that extends out toward the railroad tracks.
Right.
Take that out.
We take that out, and then
Oh,
it was
we didn't have that
recommended that the
before.
racetrack be commercial, so that it's no longer village, so that there is not housing in that flood area.
it can be a bottling company now.
Remove village.
Could be a bottling, that'd be fine.
Okay.
That was
That's a commercial
That's
What he
venture,
wants to do.
and it won't have any residential, village, you can build
346
cluster
west of-
residential stuff, so
Up to Larry
we're trying to
Ward's.
avoid that in that area.
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
not be village.
So that's all we're gonna need to,
Shouldn't be village.
Shouldn't.
I mean, I would entertain a motion right now to change the maps according to what we just discussed.
You want a motion?
Yeah,
What did you say what the racetrack was supposed to be?
commercial.
Again?
Commercial.
Change from residential to, or excuse me, village to commercial.
Right.
taking
Village.
10 years.
So is that bottling thing going too? What's that?
Yeah, that's what he wants.
Motion?
If the
We're
well's
keeping the
approved.
other
Because
one.
he's got a good
So
well.
all our
there.
other
Yep.
changes from our minutes were good.
They were all good. I have a motion from Sid. Do I have a second? Yep.
Second.
Any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Now, let's have a motion to adjourn until the 20th.
Motion to adjourn.
Let's do it. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.